A child's impatience is not something they are born with. It is often shaped by how quickly adults remove their discomfort in everyday moments. In a moment, you will understand how a 5-second pause quietly changes a child's ability to think for themselves. A child stands by the kitchen counter, asking for juice again, their voice rising slightly before you even finish folding the laundry. You hear it clearly, but your hand still moves faster than your intention, reaching for the glass before the frustration builds. You tell yourself it's easier this way. Faster, less noise, fewer tears. But in that small repetition, something is quietly being reinforced without anyone noticing. Not discipline, not obedience, but expectation of immediate help before effort even begins. What looks like helping is actually shaping how long a child is willing to struggle before giving up. And most of this happens in gaps as small as 5 seconds. In the next part, we will break down what happens inside that gap and why it changes how a child learns to think. Your child is not learning patience from big lessons. They are learning impatience from your smallest interruptions. Think about that exact moment your child calls from another room, and you instantly drop what you're doing to rush over and fix the problem before they even have a chance to struggle. We tell ourselves we're just being responsive out of love, but is that really kindness? When the slightest discomfort is immediately rescued by external intervention, a child's brain completely misses the chance to activate its own problem-solving skills. This happens invisible to us, in tiny 3 to 5 second windows every single day, quietly training them into deep dependency. As a result, their frustration tolerance plummets, leading to early quitting behavior and a constant reliance on an adult's presence just to get things done. Speed is not kindness. Speed is training dependency. What feels like responsiveness may actually be the interruption of learning. But the real shift begins when delay becomes intentional, not accidental. Your child is not reacting to your words. They are reacting to your timing. Every time your child requests help, responding within seconds accidentally builds a clear prediction model in their brain. I do not need to persist because help arrives. Because of this, the prefrontal cortex completely shuts down during moments of frustration. As this pattern repeats, the child develops an underlying belief that if they just wait long enough, an adult will take over. The direct cost is dangerously low persistence, weak self-initiation, and a total dependence on external cues to calm down. On rare occasions, an accidental delay from you will only trigger intense confusion or anger, because their predictable world is suddenly broken. Teaching is not instruction. It is the repetition of timing. Behavior is stored faster than explanation. And once timing becomes predictable, the brain stops trying to struggle. Helping too fast removes the exact moment learning is supposed to happen. When parents immediately correct homework mistakes, fix broken toys, or prevent frustration before a child even attempts a task, a critical cycle is broken. The child completely avoids the error processing phase, meaning the loop from mistake to self-correction never completes. Because of this, the brain misses the opportunity to build essential resilience pathways. It is common to believe that without parental intervention, a child will struggle too much. However, the long-term cost is a growing fear of making mistakes, a very low tolerance for uncertainty, and a strong tendency to avoid independent attempts altogether. Comfort is not the goal of learning. The completion of struggle is. What ends discomfort early also ends growth early. And this pattern becomes strongest in moments parents don't even notice. Most dependency is not taught intentionally. It is created under pressure. Picture an exhausting evening when you are trying to handle work, manage the household, and your child is repeatedly demanding attention. To quickly silence the noise and reduce the mental pressure, the easiest choice is to solve the problem instantly, just to get through the moment. You tell yourself you just need a brief window of peace. But what is your child's brain actually learning? They learn that urgency and escalation guarantee a faster reward. Without realizing it, emotional escalation becomes their most effective communication tool. The long-term cost is increased whining, a dangerous dependency on throwing tantrums to get results, and a severe reduction in their emotional self-regulation. Short-term peace can create long-term dependency. When pressure increases, teaching decreases. And this is exactly why small, structured delay matters more than big explanations. 5 seconds is not delay. It is the space where thinking begins. When parents intentionally pause for 5 seconds before responding to non-urgent requests, the child experiences a consistent micro-delay across daily interactions. This small, purposeful interruption directly breaks the dependency conditioning loop. As a result, the child's brain recalibrates its expectations, learning that a request does not mean instant resolution. The window for frustration tolerance is activated and expanded before any relief arrives. Many parents do not realize that their own response speed was actually shaping their child's impatience. Without this critical 5-second gap, a child remains reactive and completely dependent on external regulation. Helping slower is not neglect, it is structure. What you delay slightly, they begin to process internally. But the method only works when it is consistent, not occasional. Inconsistency does not confuse the child. It trains them to push harder. When parents sometimes wait and sometimes help instantly, the child increases their whining or emotional escalation just to test the response pattern. This unstable reinforcement schedule accidentally strengthens persistent demanding behavior, not patience. The child develops an underlying belief that if they just try harder, they might get help faster. The ultimate cost is more demanding behavior and a complete loss of trust in the waiting process. This lack of consistency turns a learning moment into a guessing game for the child's brain. Random help creates persistent asking behavior. Unpredictability teaches pursuit, not patience. And this is where real change either stabilizes or fails completely. Patience is not taught in explanation. It is built in repeated delay. A child's capacity for self-regulation grows significantly when they experience controlled, tolerable waiting repeatedly. When a child learns to wait briefly, then moves towards slightly longer intervals while engaging in simple independent steps, a natural shift occurs. The prefrontal cortex strengthens delay tolerance through these repeated, low-stress activation cycles. Parents slowly begin to realize that their children can handle far more than they initially thought. Without this practice, a child remains highly reactive and externally dependent. But giving them this space provides the exact framework they need to navigate challenges on their own. Capacity grows only inside tolerated discomfort. What is repeated becomes natural, and when repeated enough, waiting no longer feels like waiting. Independence does not appear when help increases. It appears when intervention slows. When parents pause before reacting, allowing for a moment of silence and letting the child struggle briefly before stepping in, a major turning point happens. The child begins internal problem solving instead of instantly triggering the external dependency loop. Many parents suddenly realize a powerful truth. Maybe they have been removing their child's chance to think. Without this critical shift, true independence never fully forms. Your child does not need faster help. They need the space to think. Thinking begins where rescue stops. The pause is where independence is born. And this final message closes the loop. What shapes a child's patience is not how much we teach them to wait. It is how often we allow small moments of discomfort to resolve themselves without stepping in too quickly. There is a profound difference between a parent who reacts to urgency and a parent who understands what urgency is teaching. One removes the moment. The other lets the moment do its work. Sometimes, the most meaningful help is the pause you don't interrupt. Think about just one moment today when you stepped in faster than necessary. Not to judge it, but simply to notice it. That awareness is where change quietly begins. If this helps you see everyday parenting moments differently, you can stay for more grounded reflections like this. Because a child does not only remember what you fixed, but what you allowed them to work through.